So a few weeks ago, I got to go to the funeral directors convention for my state. And of course, I've never been to anything like this before, so I was really curious to see what kind of things went on there. Basically, it's like any other convention. They have people who get up and talk about a product or a service that they offer, or maybe just talk about something that pertains to the funeral home industry in general. Unfortunately, I had about 2 hours to drive to get there, so I didn't get to hear any of the talks, but I did get there to see the showroom. And I wanted to share with you guys some of the stuff that I saw in the showroom, to give you an idea not only of, the basic kind of stuff that people are offering, but also to show you some pretty cool new stuff that I think is going to be the wave of the future in the funeral home business that I'm really excited about. To start off, you get basic things. One of the guys I saw there was 1-800-Autopsy. This is actually a private autopsy, a company that does private autopsies. So a lot of times if somebody dies and it's under mysterious circumstances, an autopsy will be ordered by the court to check it out. But if the family themselves decide that they want an autopsy on their loved one, they can call this guy and he will do it for them for a fee and decide, or discern rather, how the person died. There's a lot of reasons why a family would want this done. Maybe they feel like there was foul play and an autopsy wasn't ordered by the court, so now they can find out if there was. Another big reason is just because people want to know why their loved one died. Maybe it was a younger person who died mysteriously and they just want to know, or maybe they just want to know in general. Some of the services that he has listed here: private autopsies, forensic autopsies, exhumation, and disinterment autopsies, which means that they actually dig them up and do autopsies. They do toxicology analysis, which is an analysis of any toxins or chemicals, drugs that would be in the bloodstream. They can get a post-mortem neurological diagnosis for things like Alzheimer's or multiple sclerosis, which can be helpful actually, because if you don't know that runs in your family, now you can find that out. It's kind of a good thing to know if those diseases do run in your family. Another thing that you see a lot of is insurance companies. There's a lot of tables for insurance companies, and this one I thought was a really good idea to have something like this. This is just a personal family record, and really all it is it's a will. It's a will and testament. You have a place to put all of your information. There's veterans information, any of your personal information, your husband and wife, persons to contact, your memorial instructions, which is everybody should have a living will. Everybody should have a living will, but everybody should have a will in general that includes memorial instructions, because if there's something specific that you want done with your body or at your memorial service, you can't tell anybody when you're dead. So it's really handy to have a little booklet like this, to just have everything in one place, and that way when you die, you just give this booklet to whoever's going to be in charge of your service. Really easy. I think this is genius, to just have a little booklet like this out on your table that people can take. It's so easy, instead of making somebody sit down at a table and write out a will and, oh, I don't know how to word things, or I don't know what to write, stuff like that. So yeah, this kind of leads me to the point that everybody should have a will and a living will. And the difference between a will and a living will is that a living will is you get to write down what you want to happen to you while you're still alive, but maybe not conscious or able to make decisions for yourself. A living will is where you would put instructions if you want a do not resuscitate, or any other instructions that you want, you can put in a living will. And everybody should have one of those so that you get to live out your life the exact way that you want to. And also, so you don't have to put that burden of a decision on somebody else. Okay, so there was a table of a guy who was actually giving these out. This is an urn. Well, this is one kind of urn. The reason that I like this urn so very much, aside from the fact that it's free, is that it is actually very cheap for the funeral home and the family. And I believe that everybody should be able to afford some sort of memorial service or funeral, whether or not they have a lot of money. I don't think it's fair to just be able to say, well, you know, if you can't afford it, then you can't have a nice burial or a nice urn or something like that. So this, I believe, can be ordered for, what is it? It's about $30. If you get a family who comes in there that doesn't have a lot of money, you know, if they can pay the $30 to cover the cost that you pay for it, or if you are making enough money that you can just maybe give them one, that would be very nice of you. And you're out $30. And I think that's really cool that there are some really cheap alternatives to the thousands of dollars people think that they have to spend on a funeral, or that they just end up spending on a funeral. That I think that it's really nice to have options like this, that they're cheap and they're nice. Another thing that's becoming really popular are webcasting funerals. They have, and I think the picture kind of says it all. You know, if you are somewhere where you can't attend a funeral and you want to be there, they have a whole setup that you can just rent and put in a funeral home and then webcast it. And the guy was showing it to me, and there's like barely any lag time at all. And he was using a really shitty connection. Like, he was using the hotel's connection. I think that's kind of a testament to the times that we're in, is now you can webcast milestones in your loved one's life. Not only funerals, but I'm sure people are doing this for weddings and all kinds of stuff. Okay, so now on to my favorite stuff. There was probably about maybe 150 tables there. And I think about 3 or 4 of those tables out of 150 were offering some sort of product that was eco-friendly and biodegradable and nice, and you don't have to worry about like this thing being in the ground for fucking ever. So one of the booths I saw there was for care caskets. These caskets are entirely made of wood. They have wood hinges, the stain that they use are plant-based, everything is biodegradable, and here's the different colors that they have. But I think that that's awesome, that this is even available. I definitely think, personally, that this is where we're headed with the whole funeral industry. I think that people are starting to realize that what we're doing to the environment is actually affecting it, and I mean, what better way to give back to the environment than to put an organic organism in a biodegradable receptacle and then put it into the ground where it's going to decompose like any other kind of organic matter and basically renew that land that it's in. I think that is so cool that people are actually thinking about this and taking the last step that they can to making the world a better place, as cheesy as that sounds. And this is one of my favorites. This company is called Passages, and they also make environmentally friendly products. They had, at the showroom, they had these, well, this is willow, but they had a wicker casket. They have bamboo, seagrass. I knew they had a wicker one, but I guess it's not in their book. But they have a bunch of different kinds of really pretty biodegradable caskets made out of just different kinds of grasses. and even the liners that they put in them are biodegradable. My favorite product that they offer are these urns. I think they're so pretty. Like, you wouldn't even know that they were urns. They have ones that are made of salt. They have ones that are made, oh, these look like modern art almost. I think those are really pretty. I don't know what these are made of. I think, oh, paper. They're made out of paper. And the paints they're milk paints. So that's even better. I thought they were clay or something. But yeah, there's those urns. And they have silicone and sand. All of this is meant to degrade or dissolve in the ocean. Alright, these are my absolute favorite. So, a lot of people I've heard, when I start talking about what I do, a lot of people have just said, I don't even care what happens to me. Just, dig a hole in the backyard and put me in it. Well, I think that a lot of people would change their minds if I told them that they could be a turtle. Yeah, they're biodegradable turtles. How awesome is that? They're made from recycled paper bags. That is so badass. You put the cremains into the turtle, and then you just kind of set them off to sea. Okay, so enough with the caskets and the urns. Let's get down to embalming. Can embalming become green? Because I'm sure that a lot of you are probably aware by now, but formaldehyde it's a pretty big carcinogen. So embalmers they're exposed to a potential carcinogen, a lot of the time. We obviously have protocol to follow that will keep us safe, but wouldn't it just be better if we weren't exposed to it at all, is my question. So here's a company that is offering formaldehyde-free embalming products, arterial fluids, and gels and balms and all the stuff that we use to embalm a body, all the different fluids and things like that. These are all formaldehyde-free. So I think that's really cool. I'm kind of wondering where this is going to go. I would love for this to take off and be the new best thing. But obviously the problem is that if you don't have formaldehyde in your fluids, the body isn't going to stay embalmed as long. It's not going to it'll stay embalmed, but it won't stave off decomposition as long as embalming with formaldehyde does. So I'm going to read into this a little bit more, and I'll probably get back to you on that if I find anything else more interesting. Another thing that I just want to talk about really quick, but I think I'm going to do a whole video on this because I think this is not only super interesting, but it's super scientific and it feels like the future. So it's called alkaline hydrolysis. And what this is, trying to think of the easiest and the quickest way to explain this. You put a body in a tank like that, and the body is then exposed to various chemicals that break down the tissue, all of the tissue except the bone. So it just dissolves the flesh off of the bone. And then what you're left with, obviously, is the bone. The nutrients have been taken out of it, so it's a lot weaker. And you're able to pulverize it like you do with cremains. And then what you get back is, just like in cremains, is the pulverized bone, which you can then, use to put in your little biodegradable turtle as you float it out to the ocean. There's so many interesting things about this. It's a lot more environmentally friendly for you to choose to do alkaline hydrolysis. The tissue that's left over, from what I understand, you can actually use that as fertilizer. A lot of people think that that's kind of morbid, But I think that it's super interesting, and I would love to help plant a garden someday. But if you don't choose to use the tissue for such, from what I understand, and I could be getting this wrong, so that's why I'm saying I want to get back to you on this. The tissue, it's liquefied. It goes into the sewer system just like any other human waste product does. So, before you get all grossed out, you should probably think about the other stuff that you're putting in the sewer system. It's not that gross. It's regulated by the EPA. I think that it's really cool. But like I said, I'm going to get back to you on this because there's a lot that I feel like I don't know. So I just wanted to mention it and put it out there for now. So that's the kind of stuff that you see at funeral conventions. Like always, if you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments or send me a message. And if I haven't mentioned on this channel already, I have a Twitter account. I don't really talk about anything very interesting, but I'll put a link to my Twitter account in the bar down here, and you can feel free to follow me.